Philadelphia news, team of my heart. Are you ready to see if this bold move by the Philadelphia 76ers is the key to finally breaking through? With an aging star on a massive contract, there's a lot at stake. You know the Sixers are all in, but is this the right gamble? Injuries and declining performance loom large, and you've seen this team fall short before. Can this new addition truly push the Sixers over the top? Stay tuned for more Sixers news, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the moments that could define this season. The Philadelphia 76ers, with their bold move this offseason, find themselves in a position that's both thrilling and daunting. You're probably feeling the excitement, but there's also that lurking question: what if it doesn't work out? After all, Paul George, at 34, isn't the fresh-faced star he once was. Yet here we are, with the Sixers ready to throw a massive $211 million over 4 years at him, banking on the idea that he still has what it takes to push them deep into the postseason. It's the kind of decision that makes you nervous, right? Sixers fans have been here before. Daryl Morey, the mastermind behind this move, isn't afraid to take risks. You remember the James Harden trade? A blockbuster, but one that didn't quite pan out the way everyone hoped. Now, with George in the fold, Morey is essentially saying, let's try again. But this time, there's even more on the line. You're not just paying George for what he's done, you're gambling on his ability to keep up the pace, to stay healthy, and to deliver when it matters most. And that's the part that gets to you, isn't it? The lingering doubt. Because we've seen George struggle with injuries, and last season with the Clippers, he wasn't exactly the same dominant player. Sure, he still made the All-Star team, but did he really look like the guy who could carry a team on his back? That's where the fear creeps in. You can almost hear it in the back of your mind: is this really the guy we're pinning our hopes on? Yet, at the same time, you can't help but feel a little optimistic. After all, George has been one of the best two-way players in the league. You know what he's capable of. He can shoot, he can defend, and when he's locked in, he's the kind of player who can change a game single-handedly. The idea of pairing him with Joel Embiid, who's coming off another MVP-caliber season, feels like it could be magic. And then you've got Tyrese Maxey, a young star who's only getting better. On paper, it all looks perfect. But that what-if hangs over everything. Eric Pincus, a respected voice in NBA circles, has already voiced his concerns. He's not saying it's a bad move, he's just being real about the potential for regret. A 7 out of 10 chance that this could blow up in the Sixers' face? That's hard to ignore. You're feeling that too, aren't you? There's excitement, sure, but there's also that sense of vulnerability, of the unknown. If George's body gives out, if he can't perform at the level Philly needs, this whole thing could unravel fast. You're thinking about how much the Sixers are paying him, $43 million for the upcoming season alone. That's a lot of cash for someone with a track record of injuries and an age that suggests his best years might be behind him. But the Sixers had to do something. With James Harden's situation still a bit murky and the clock ticking on Embiid's prime, this is the kind of swing you have to take. The question is, will it be worth it? It's hard to say right now. You know the potential is there for George to have a massive impact. If he stays healthy, if he clicks with Embiid and Maxey, this could be the move that finally pushes the Sixers over the top. But if not? Well, you don't need anyone to tell you how brutal the fallout could be. But here's the thing, you've been through this before. Being a Sixers fan means living on the edge of hope and heartbreak. The front office makes these big moves, and you find yourself caught between wanting to believe in the vision and feeling the weight of past disappointments. Paul George is just the latest name in a long line of stars brought in to solve the problem, to take the team that one extra step. And yet, there's always that nagging thought in the back of your head: is this really the one? You've watched George's highlights, the flashy plays, the deep threes, the lockdown defense, but you also remember those moments when he came up short, when the injuries started to slow him down. It's like you're holding your breath every time he takes a hard fall, every time he grabs his leg after a tough play. You know that feeling, don't you? That uncertainty about whether his body can handle the grind of a full season, let alone a deep playoff run. It's that worry that makes you hesitate, makes you wonder if the Sixers are setting themselves up for another letdown. And then there's the money. It's hard to ignore the numbers, especially when they're this big. $211 million over 4 years. That's not a small commitment. You've seen teams crumble under contracts like that, where one player's decline ties up the cap space and leaves the franchise stuck in mediocrity. That's what makes you nervous. You want to believe that George still has gas left in the tank, but the reality is, he's 34. How many more prime years does he really have? You've seen what happens when teams bet on aging stars. It's a roll of the dice, and sometimes the outcome isn't pretty. But at the same time, there's that voice in your head telling you that this is what it takes to win in today's NBA. Superstars win championships. You've heard it a million times. The Sixers couldn't afford to stand still. They couldn't waste another year of Joel Embiid's prime waiting for the perfect situation to come along. You've seen how brutal the Eastern Conference is. The Celtics, the Bucks, they're not slowing down. If the Sixers want to compete, they need to stack the roster with as much talent as possible, and Paul George, for all his flaws, still brings a ton of talent. And it's not just about what George can do on the court. You're thinking about how he fits in with the culture of this team, the chemistry in the locker room. That's something that doesn't get talked about enough. You've seen teams with all the talent in the world fall apart because the pieces didn't fit together off the court. But George has been around. He's a veteran, he's played with stars before, and he knows what it takes to make it work. You can't overlook that. You know Embiid needs a running mate who can handle the spotlight, who won't crumble under the pressure, and George, for all his injuries, has been through it all. And then there's Tyrese Maxey. You can't help but get excited about what this move means for him. He's young, he's explosive, and now, with George on the roster, he has a chance to learn from one of the best two-way players in the game. You're imagining the possibilities, how Maxey could take another leap, how George's presence could free him up to play his game even more. It's easy to get caught up in the potential, in the idea that this could be the perfect situation for Maxey to thrive. But that doubt, it still lingers. You've seen it too many times before. Big names come in, expectations rise, and then something goes wrong. Maybe it's an injury, maybe the fit isn't as smooth as you thought, maybe the competition is just too tough. And then you're left picking up the pieces, wondering what could have been. You're not ready to go through that again, are you? Yet, here you are, hoping this time will be different. You've been through it all with this team, the highs, the lows, the what-ifs. This move is risky, no doubt about it, but deep down, you know that's what being a Sixers fan is all about. The thrill of the chase, the hope that this is the move that finally gets you over the hump, the fear that it could all come crashing down again. So, what's next for you as a Sixers fan? You've got Paul George, a 7-time All-Star, joining the team, and the potential is sky high. But you also know what's at stake here. You can feel it. You've been down this road before, and the expectations couldn't be higher. With Embiid and Maxey, the team is loaded with talent. You've seen them come close, and every season, the dream feels just a little bit more within reach. But you also know that one wrong step, one injury, or one misstep in the playoffs, and it could all come crashing down. You know the Sixers are built to win now. But that's where the pressure lies. It's not just about getting to the postseason, it's about getting through it. You've seen how brutal the Eastern Conference is. Milwaukee reloaded. Boston is stacked. Miami always finds a way. The competition isn't just tough, it's unforgiving. So, the question is, can this Sixers team, with Paul George now in the mix, finally break through? You're feeling that tension, that hope and fear clashing inside you, aren't you? And then there's George himself. You've watched him in the past, and you know what he can do when he's locked in. But you've also seen the injuries. You remember those playoffs where he just didn't seem like himself, where his body started to give way. You're wondering, can he hold up? This isn't just about what he brings in the regular season, this is about the playoffs, where every possession counts, where stars have to be at their best. Does George still have it in him to be that guy for the Sixers? Can he be the difference maker they need alongside Embiid? And what about the future? You know this contract isn't just a short-term fix. The Sixers are committing big money to George, and if things don't pan out, it could leave the team hamstrung for years. It's not just about this season, it's about the long-term trajectory of the franchise. You're thinking about how this decision could shape the team's future, about how much pressure is on this move to succeed. You don't want to go through another rebuild. You've been patient long enough. But at the same time, you feel the excitement building. You can see the pieces coming together. Embiid, Maxey, and now George, that's a core that can do some serious damage. You've waited for this. You've been through the process, the ups and downs, and now you're on the brink of something big. The question is, are you ready to believe again? So now, it's your turn. What do you think? Are you confident that Paul George will be the missing piece for the Sixers, or are you worried that this move might backfire? Do you trust that this is the moment the Sixers finally break through, or does that lingering doubt still weigh on you? If you're as invested in this team's journey as I am, then you need to stay locked in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on Sixers news. This is going to be a ride, and you'll want to be here for every moment of it.